Who else is here?
I got it. Now I got it. I just had my wrong. I'm on a different laptop here. Now I can see you guys. Okay.
There we go.
Hey everyone. Hey everyone.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey guys.
Hello.
Yeah. Is Sam here? Did Sam make it?
Yeah, I'm here.
I see.
Okay.
Can anyone hear me?
All right. So who we got here?
Well, it looks like. Why doesn't everyone introduce themselves so I can make sure I'm seeing everyone?
Well,
One at a time.
Who wants to go first?
Can anyone hear me?
Let's let Sam go first.
yeah, I'm Sam Locke, and I'm the YouTuber who made lots of Boffet videos on the past 10 years now, and yeah, you're the guy who mentioned me in that interview one time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm opening up a second computer so I can make sure to see everyone, because my computer only shows 9 people. So,
I think that's as many that we need.
Let's see. Wait, do you see me on 2 screens? No.
I see you.
Yeah, I see you.
I do see your name popping up twice, though, so I'm guessing you're logged in twice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's good, just so I can see everyone on the second screen. I only have Cool. All right. So I know. So Sam, 2 Sams here, right?
Yeah.
Are there 2?
You can call me Sam T.
Sam T. Okay.
Or Sam D. It doesn't matter.
All right. And Kane and Kaiser, I see you there. Good. And Bronson is you go by Bronson.
Bronson Pullen.
Pullen. And who's Bit Wizard?
That's me.
That's our modeler.
Yeah, I'm out of the new jams guitar.
Uh-huh.
Hello.
And I see go ahead, and that's Chris.
How's it going?
Good.
Oh, wait, Chris is here?
He's here.
Chris, it's an honor.
Yeah, he sounds like Buddy Rubino.
Cool. Thanks for inviting me.
Dude, you were like the lucky. You were the lucky penny out of all of them.
Okay, yeah. It's kind of crazy how it all happened. Chatted with Sam in August. Chatted again. And me his note. And great to meet all you guys. And Dan, I went down a Google wormhole of you today. I watched a Chicago toy speech you gave on how Bobbin came to be, and yeah, cool. So I'm excited to have been invited to this event.
Yeah, it's fun, and I want to make sure it's great. I want to hear more about all the things you guys have been doing. Just want to make sure I got everybody here so I can make sure. CEC Blender.
Hello.
Yeah, that's our animator.
ICEC Blender.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good. Sonic.
Oh, Sonic Crow. Hello. I'm one of the voices on the new jams model.
Okay.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Good to meet you. And anyone else here that I missed?
Wait, did Shaw make it, guys?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
He might be on later.
Yeah.
He's here. He's here. He's messaging in the chat right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm guessing he can't speak at the moment, but he's here.
Okay.
That's fine. Spirit.
So Mr. Klitsner, we have a little plan. So this is about the games we're making, and we're gonna be asking about stuff like in your career. So like you'll ask us questions, we'll ask you questions. It'll be a good time.
Sounds good.
All right. Who wants to start? Actually, I do have one more question though. Are you permitted by your contract to allow this to be recorded?
Yeah, we can certainly. I do, done a lot of interviews.
All right, Sam, you know what to do.
Yeah.
The only thing we can't do, like I said, is I can't really invent something with you, but I can certainly. I can look at it.
We just have your approval on this. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That we could talk about that later as to what you're trying to do with it and how I can help. But those are the kind of we'll save that for later.
Yeah, later. That's good. Also, one more quick question before we start. Is the Zoom meeting gonna cut off at a certain time, or do we have extended?
I think it probably defaulted to an hour, but I can probably extend it if we need more time.
Okay. I think we're all ready then.
Yeah.
Hi, sorry guys, just a quick question. Sam just mentioned that you guys were chatting with Dan today. I'm not sure exactly what the goal is, or I'm just one of the voices that Sam got on his Smash It game. So
Yeah.
clarification where my role is in this and what's
Well,
happening.
you have a big role in this as you're voicing both video games, and as you sound very close to Buddy Rubino, we had to pick you.
Yeah.
I think that the part of what we want to talk about today is I'm just that what you guys are doing, what's what's inspired by the Bop It stuff and how you're doing it, and whether I partly my goal is I'm just excited to meet fans and to know. I know a lot of you guys have been following Bop It for a long time, and it really is great to connect. That's why I went on social media. But in terms of building things or trying to actually sell something, I'm here to kind of help hear what you're trying to do, see if I can help guide it in the right direction so that you don't get in trouble with Hasbro if you try to do something that's sort of under there. I can kind of help you with that, help guide you so that if you're going to try something that it, that whatever you do with it can actually be done. So
Yeah.
that's one of my goals, because I'm a little unclear about how you're trying to do that and what you're going to do. But I have a lot of experience with what sort of I'm allowed to do outside of the Bop It deals with Hasbro, since they own the brand and all the other products. So that's one of my questions that keeps coming up as you guys talk about this is what you're planning and how does that work. So I think the best way is just tell me what you're thinking so that I can help empower you to do it if I can help.
Well, we have a plan for when the game is done. There's going to be I'm just telling you this, that there's going to be a disclaimer bringing all the rights to KID Group and Hasbro. That's the plan, though. That's immediately when the game starts up.
Yeah. Well, sounds cool. I mean, I'm really interested to see. Now, but I feel like, there's a lot, I think, without making any decision on how to do that, why don't you tell me what you're trying to do and what you're trying to produce and see what I can do to help.
Yeah, okay, so I'll tell you the story. Sam, are you recording this?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
Did you leave?
Sam is still here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Right now.
Yeah, Sam, we can't hear you.
Oh.
And Chris, to answer your question,
Wait, I could hear Sam.
I think this is just an open discussion to say, this sounds like a cool project. Whoever's involved, I think it's great to get everyone listening and see if there's good, like I said, either a change direction or a way to help whatever you're trying to do, whoever's involved. I think any questions are great.
Okay, yeah. I was just, like I said, I've just been kind of the voice guy that's just been brought in a couple times. I send my audio off to Sam, and then that's kind of where it all ends for me. And then Sam reached out last week and just said that he's really excited, obviously, to chat with you. And
Yeah, you sound just like Buddy Rubino, Chris.
Like I said, we don't quite know where all this is going, except it's a lot of fun to connect with everyone, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Cool. Exactly.
Mr. Klitsner, if it's okay with you, I can tell you the story of how Bop It New Jams kind of got to here.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So, so about 8 months ago, I was exiting high school. I was about to. It was like 1 month away, and I was practicing design because I'm a designer in training, and I've been doing some logo work for some company. I worked with a pharmaceutical before with an ad campaign that got shown to over 11,000 people at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to kind of do it. I thought I was told that design something that's in your passion. And for many years, I've been a fan of Bop. The first one I ever had was The Shout from 2008. So I kind of like derived from that one, and I started making just these fan designs. I always, whenever I make fan stuff, I always give the rights to the rightful people. In this case, KIG Group and Hasbro. So like further down the line, I actually thought of New Jam Guitar, and I really liked that game, but I never had it. So I thought it would be interesting if they kind of fused into one. So I made that design, and then when I met Sam in about August, he really liked that design. He told me to give it to Hasbro Spark, which I didn't have the time to do. So he was like, "Hey, let's just make it into a video game." I'm like, "Okay." And a lot of people actually hopped on, willing to do this, because BitWizard actually grew up playing New Jam Guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's so just in terms of New Jam, cut in and just say, it is, when we did that, we composed all the music, we did everything, it was the perfect blend of game and music, and it was before Guitar Hero, if a lot of you remember.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was sort of the first music, we were inspired by musical video games, things like Parappa the Rapper, things like that,
I remember that.
And my whole thing has always been how you put physical motion into this cross between digital and physical, the way Bop It, Tetris and all those are all inspired by just thinking about how to make this simple music game with but with you physically playing like you do an instrument. And New Jam was so cool because there's only 16, as you obviously know by now, musical riffs, how to kind of put them all into those games, how to put them into a compelling game that got harder. There's a lot of subtlety in that, how to make it sound like a real song and everything. But it was kind of way ahead of its time and Hasbro didn't quite know what to do with it or how to market it. They tried to market it first as a Bop It guitar, then they took the Bop It and put it sort of quiet, like there was a lot of confusion, and the name New Jam was very last minute change because we had rights to that from a game that one of my partners, Gary Levenberg, had done. There was a New Jam music game that he had done previously, and so we were just using the name because we had it. We never really even liked the name that much, and so that's why it's not called Bop It Guitar, and also because it was different than Bop It. But what's interesting about it was that concept of combining, 4, 5, 6 moves at a time and having to do them physically was we were very excited about it. It just didn't get marketed as a game. It got marketed almost like a toy guitar in the wrong aisle in a toy store. So why it never really took off, well, there were two reasons. One, there was the first batch of them had a bug in one of the switches, and they had a faulty switch, and they had to recall all of them like a month before Christmas when all the sales came up and pay to ship them to the fixed ones on a 747. They had to literally pay to have the replacements shipped in, so they lost a lot of money on it. And but they were committed to doing the product because they already advertised it. So there was a bit of a mess, and it was really a shame because everyone at Hasbro loved the game. It got, but you can tell to make a product successful, it's often, much more
hit or miss.
The marketing, the different things, and so the audience, I think, was very unclear to them, to us, who was going to buy this. So when I meet people who've actually found it, played it, loved it, it's always exciting because, like I said, it didn't quite get its day. And to this day, when my kids are small, when we played it, everyone who played it, who was into it was like, wow, this is addictive, it's fun. And so I'm excited to hear, that there's fans of it out there. And there has been talk, just as I think I mentioned, of bringing it back in some form. Now that there's a new group at Hasbro that we're working with, they're, everyone who's sort of, they don't even remember it, the new group, and they play it and they go, this is an awesome game. And we remind them, this was before Guitar Hero, like all those kind of things. So I just thought I'd give you a little history about how New Jam Guitar came about in the Bop It line, and that's why I'm very interested in what you're trying to do, and that I can't kind of combine it in whatever Hasbro's doing in a way, but I think it's very encouraging to hear people trying to riff on it and build something. So I don't know if that helps give you some background.
Yeah, that's
It does.
pretty cool,
I
actually.
actually have one quick question for you. Was New Jam Guitar in any way? Did New Jam Guitar have in any way inspiration to go into Bop It beats?
Well, all of them are related. I mean, if you could see our closet of Bop It concepts, it's immense. Like what you see is a very small amount of the concepts that have been considered for Bop It. And there's been many attempts at Bop It meets music, and I wasn't. Again, I'm never quite happy with any of them. That one was inspired a little bit by that. There's a lot of reasons how certain games get picked by the marketing departments and things like that. But the idea of a DJ Bop It was sort of thought of for several years, and I don't know. What do you comparing the two? I think New Jam is a lot better game, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, the reason we're kind of doing this is because it shows dedication that we have for the stuff you create. You've created. Actually, one person wanted to ask you how does it feel that Bop It is now a part of pop culture?
It's amazing. I really still can't believe it. I think I've put a lot. If you follow on TikTok, I've been trying to do a lot of sort of thank yous and things like that. But really, it occurred to me a couple years ago as I started to see it get spoofed so much that the people that grew up with Bop It are now parents, a lot of them, or becoming parents, and so it's at 25 years, a brand really gets a generational sort of bump where if it's lasted, then the parents who had it as kids want it for their kids, and so that's what's beginning to happen. But it also means that a lot of the people who grew up with it are now the writers for TV shows. They're the people making commercials. Those are the people that are making it into pop culture, because to them it's nostalgia. Nostalgia meaning you didn't even have the product. The Bop It shout that you had was long past when Bop It was created in their minds, a lot of people's minds, because that was 10 years later from when the original Bop It came out. So I think it matters to which generation you grew up in, where the actual nostalgia comes from. And it's still happy, and today we're still doing obviously new things based on this concept. So to have thought that just, I've done hundreds of ideas, thousands that haven't gone anywhere. And you just have to really be lucky to have a few that do go somewhere. And Bop It, clearly is the biggest hit I've ever had, even though I've designed a lot of great games. But nothing else has really become embedded in pop culture. Even all the friends I have that are inventors, we can't think of really anything else that anyone's done in 25 years that has had this kind of a different feel in pop culture, not just a game. So I feel very honored and lucky, and perfect storm that I always say it takes talent, it takes dedication, it takes being in the right place at the right time. There's a lot of things that could have made this never happen, and the longer it goes, the more grateful I am.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really weird thing though, because I myself am into marketing, and it looks like the most simple stuff seems to be the most impactful.
Yeah, I think that's what Bop It had going for it. It was 3 moves, simple. I think I said that one of the marketing guys at Hasbro made the comment a few years later. He said, I think Bop It was sort of like 90 feet between first base in baseball, where
For sure.
it was just the perfect distance, to make the game good. If it was 2 feet shorter or 2 feet longer, maybe the whole game would have not been that fun. Like somehow they just said the 3 moves that were picked, everything that happened just had a resonance of being exactly right. And partly from talent and partly just accident of getting it right. You know, where there's so many ways to get it wrong. But yeah, simple sells, and Bop It's simplicity definitely is what sold the first time.
Yeah.
And I just say that maybe just related to what you guys, why I'm in your group, and all the people here who are Bop It, obsessed, is that although Bop It was just one item, that I was working on, by it succeeding, it opened up pretty much my career to then keep. That's why I've worked on all these other versions of Bop It, or Simon and Hyperdash. And if you look at all the things I've created, they were really, it was really because Bop It worked that I was then thinking, hey, people will buy kind of a game, that's physical and musical. I tried, if you look at the amount of things I did, I would have never worked on those if Bop It hadn't succeeded. So it wasn't just the invention of Bop It that I'm grateful for, it's that it opened the door to think differently about a game that wasn't being done,
What was interesting about the speech that I watched earlier, actually, was the original Hammer was rejected, and it was this pizza slice that got the thumbs up, and that was a really cool speech, and how it was the rejected one that ended up being the one. Obviously, you had to, you went to the LCD screen, and then dropped that, and then flattened the hammer, but the one that got rejected is the one that we're sitting here talking about.
It is, everyone knows who's tried to invent or create something that it's what you do with rejection. That, rejection is simply the building blocks of how do you listen to it? Are you going to, if you just say, no, that's my idea and it's perfect, then you often, some people, they do that and they're right and they go on and they stick to their vision. Other people, you sort of keep listening until the right thing happens. So luckily it was rejected.
Yeah.
For that purpose. Yeah. Anyway, that's a little history. I just thought it'd be good to set the tone. But I know from what you're trying to do now with New Gen. So tell me more about that.
Before we get on that, I just want to ask you one more question about one of the games that were made.
Okay, sure.
What was the story regarding Bop It Download?
Bop It Download, again, for years, we've tried to come up with ways to connect Bop It to video games, to connect Bop It to have new sounds, lots and lots of ideas. I was going to start showing some of the early videos on my social media of all the stuff we tried to do with Bop It as a video game controller. And, there's so much that we thought, so many hours, thousands spent on things like that just, when you think of it, Hasbro is a mass market toy company, and they have to sort of go for only things they can sell to a very large amount of people. So that doing a game like Bop It Download, we tried to convince them this is really cool, and people were asking for it. But it's not. It's just simply that it was one of the only ideas we could kind of get to go. And one of the guys who was there, Dan Sanfilippo was his name, was a designer at Hasbro who really was behind that. Because you could figure out that through a headphone jack, all of a sudden, people were aware that you could do this through a headphone jack and upload, download type of things in a very, in a very primitive way, but it worked. But the issue was simply there just weren't enough people that cared about that. You guys care, and the programmers cared. It's just, think about Hasbro as a company that its business model doesn't work if they don't sell enough of something. So that's really why. I mean, we're trying literally every year to wait until the Bluetooth chips become cheap enough that they can go into a game, a Bop It. Literally every year we're like, can we do it yet? Where we want to connect it to leaderboards, we want to connect it, we want to do all that stuff. It's simply a matter that Walmart, the places where Hasbro sells, they're determined never to sell a game for over $20 that's like a Bop It. They want to do it for $15, like it's getting worse. So they're just like, strip it down. People will buy it the way it is. We don't need to add that. So our fight has always been, how do we go to maybe a different audience? And that's that is something I've hinted at of what I'm trying to work on now in the background is this big project where it is all about connecting Bop It to the internet type of, Internet of Things you can imagine all the things. I know your group can definitely imagine. So that's what I'm trying to do it, and potentially outside of Hasbro with their permission as a special, geekier Bop It. That could be very, very cool. So that's one of the things I'm most excited about.
Okay. Now, I have more questions, but we'll save them for later. If you want, we could show you what we currently have for Bop It New Jams.
Sure, love to see it.
Okay, so we currently right now have about like 34% of the game ready. It's not programmed yet. Not all the sound effects are ready, but we do have voice lines, and we do have the rock sound effects, and we do have a fully functioning model that has not been animated yet.
Okay.
Who has the model?
I don't.
I have it on my
Shaw,
computer.
I think Shaw does.
Oh,
Yeah.
Shaw might have it as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna. Yeah, Shaw. If you could stream your screen, Shaw, I think that would help.
There it is.
Cool. Wow.
Stay on. I'll be right back.
That's really cool.
And Shaw is the one who rigged the model, by the way, just so that's out there.
Okay. Very nice. Beautiful. So cool. I know it well. That switch right there, when you slide it up, the sliding the slider all the way to the top, that's the one that was faulty in the model. When you slid it up, it didn't register. I mean, in the product. Yeah.
Ah.
I'm unable to see anything right now as I'm on a mobile phone.
Okay, yeah, well, we could see the model.
Yeah, so there are textures. I have created textures. I'm just learning how to do this. Excuse me 1 second, I might fall off. Oh, there we go. That explains it. Oh yeah, I see Shaw. Okay, yeah, so basically I did have to give it, I was asked to make textures when I did make it because I take requests for these designs. I don't do that anymore because I don't have a working computer. But basically all I did for it and for all my other designs is that I kind of made I made the Shout logo a little more classic style. I'm not sure if I'm saying it.
Oh, okay.
But
I'm looking at this. I have my second screen. I'm just enlarging it so I can see it.
if you want, I'll have Sam send you the logo I use for the designs that I create.
Sure. All right, I got it. Much
Yeah.
better on the screen.
Yeah, I've put it up on Instagram, the logos.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's all I did. It's a simple edit. But yeah, people seem to like it.
What does that? What does that do?
What is what?
Sorry, the spin dial.
Oh, that's basically what we done on the original concept art I created is that I just gave it a few commands from Bop It. There was one called Tune It that was scrapped because it kind of messed up the look, and we don't have time to record that. So that's basically just the spin wheel from Bop It Extreme.
Yeah, interesting.
It's not really there, but it's just there just to create some extra challenge.
I see.
And it also has to flip it as well. When you flip it over, it comes like a Bop It button.
Everything else, though, so there's two sides to it as well. One side has the button, and then the other side actually has the strum switch.
Yeah, I see that. Cool. And what is the button? What does the button do?
That's basically just Bop It.
So you can just play Bop It on it.
That's basically what it. Yeah. Shaw, can you do the textures, please?
Yeah.
It's better seen with textures.
What do you mean, like the actual
Fonts and stuff.
fonts? Yeah. I got it.
Yeah, and it is double-sided,
Mhm.
both ways for textures.
Yeah, that's much better.
That one's wrong. The
Yeah.
back one.
But I'm sure you can. Yeah, all that can be. It's great that you have it in there, and now you can make graphics changes, whatever. But that's cool.
Yeah, and we also have we have two guitar players who jumped on the team, and basically they've recreated the rock sound effects, and like the original New Jam guitar, we're gonna have two sound fonts in them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which sounds or which style do you guys like better? What was your preferred style? The rock or the funk or the pop?
I'm gonna let the group answer that.
Yeah, I think the pop one
When
sounded
I
cooler.
played it, I was all about the rock version.
Rock version.
Yeah, and I got the
Yeah.
sounds here
I still
that
hear those
was.
sounds to this day. You know, back Christmas 2003, 2004, I got it, and I didn't put it down until my parents sold it at a garage sale or whatever.
I was a really big fan with the original Bop It, to be honest.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I can't go wrong with the classic.
Yeah.
I got the recreated
this one
sounds
was,
here.
Definitely. I like once I got tired of or mastered the rock version, I really got into the funk sort of bass line one. Cool. Because I'm a bass player, so I like the second one.
Yeah, there's some nice looking guitars back there. I've been admiring those.
They're okay. Some of them are my sons, so they're this is my home studio. It's just doubles as a music. So yeah, the cool. This is the other side of this studio is that's where I work right there. That's all the Bop It stuff.
Wow.
It's doubles.
That's really cool.
One more thing about the
really
model
cool.
I do want to mention. Do you remember when Hasbro and EA created that game, Family Game Night 2?
I do.
Well, I remember that there was a Bop It game in there, and it had this kind of bouncy animation. So we're taking some inspiration from that into the model from when it's animated.
Yeah, that was interesting. There was, Kid Group did the Bop It app originally, and the Smash.
I actually used to play that a lot.
Yeah, we did the Bop It Smash, and we actually did all the design and illustration. Then we had another group program it, but those were done through EA. But we actually did all that, and then but there was a game on the platforms we didn't. The one that was part of Family Game Night, there was something, and it was a little odd. Like again, they didn't really consult us on some of that. Someone did it, and I don't think they got it right. I think it was a little off. But there were some interesting features on it.
I do agree to that. It did kind of feel a little off. Well, yeah, Buddy. I know that Buddy did voice it again, but I don't know. I think there was something about it not staying with the beat. Kind of threw me off.
It was like done by non-Bop It players, and that's actually
just a rock band.
Yeah, they did. A lot of people who think they know what Bop It's about, they get it, but they don't get the actual game mechanic, of how the beat works and how it gets you into a rhythm, and then the pattern. I think your mind thinks there's a pattern when there isn't. There's a lot of things that if you don't do it quite right, I think the game it just isn't fun. So
I'm
so
probably one of those people, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, it is. It is. You don't have to know how to design it to like it one way or the other, but it does. That's why we sort of insisted when Hasbro tried to do the other things. That's why we took over the app, because I think that Family Game Night version was just like it just didn't play that well. So
Yeah.
I think there's actually there's another problem that's similar to this. The game show with Todd Newton, it had the exact same problem.
very much, yeah. The game show was again kind of odd. They didn't. I mean, they asked us a little bit about it, but it's kind of harder to simulate there. Like I said, it's people get the general idea of it, but that doesn't mean that the game will be fun. So that's all. I mean, with what you're doing here, I think you guys sound like you're very aware of the subtleties, of course.
And yeah, we're sticking with the rules for the original New Jam Guitar. So basically, there's going to be progression beat and stuff. But like in New Jam Guitar, as you progress, the octave gets higher. That's going to happen. And we actually have an example of that.
Yeah.
We have a zip file with Chris's recording of him saying "Pass It," and basically it's on all 5 octaves.
Very cool.
I can't currently show it because I can't send it, but I think somebody else might be able to play it.
Cool.
I think Sam might.
Yeah, I have them.
But yeah, we're still open to questions you have about this game or about the crew individually.
Well, I think it's amazing you're taking this on. Tell me what you hope. What's the best thing that could happen? I guess with this. What do you hope happens?
Well, what we hope what happens is that the game runs flawlessly, and it doesn't have any. I can't speak. That the game runs flawlessly. That that's more straight through. Like there's nothing that throws it off or anything, and that just becomes. We're not trying to compete, but just for fun. But we're just hoping that it becomes popular as well.
Yeah. But just as a video game, I mean, for mobile, how do you want to do it? Where would you be able to play it on your computer?
Yeah.
I don't know that yet. That's up to Sam.
Yeah, it's gonna be more like a Windows
Because,
What?
that's what I'm trying to think for all the work you put into it, how to help it, pay off in some way, I'm just trying to think. I just want to think about what, if you go to the trouble of doing all this, is there some way that it can be worth it? And I don't know. Like I said, some things I'm not able to. I need to think about that, but that's why I want to hear more. What do you guys want to do with it? And as a hobby, as a cool thing to do, is one thing. If there's some way to make it, in the future tie into something, I'm happy to try to help. But I don't know, how will people be able to play it? I guess is the question. Is it strictly on would it be possible to play it on your phone, or are you thinking it's just on a bigger screen?
Yeah, be able to play it on your phone as well.
I was interrupted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, like the plan I know of is that it's going to be for PC and mobile. I don't know much about that outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're pricing it or not. We're probably not going to.
Yeah. It might be a thing where you do in-app purchases or that kind of thing.
No, because there's nothing to purchase.
Yeah. Well, there's probably some models in there you could potentially create new sounds or do something like that.
That I do like. One of the reasons, and this is off topic, but one of the reasons I was actually asked to join Sam's crew was because I have a very weird set of vocal cords, and I'm actually to pull off very good impressions of electronic game voices and characters. The first one I ever did for Sam was Brain Shift by Tiger Electronics.
Uh-huh.
If you want, I'd be happy to do that for you right now.
I would love to hear it.
Okay, listen up. Get your brain in gear and let's play Brain Shift.
Yeah, you sound just like him, don't you,
Also,
son?
one of the hyper games from Wild Planet, I could do Hyper Blast.
That was, Hyper Blast, not Hyper Dash.
I can do Hyper Dash as well, but Hyper Blast, it's by the same company, but it requires extreme.
that I invented those, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I told us about that.
Yeah.
But I could do it, but it doesn't take a lot, but it requires me to somewhat yell a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, they're a little
Are
more.
you ready
well,
to blast? Choose game. Hyper blast.
That's pretty impressive.
That is good.
No, Kay and I know you said you do voices too, right?
Did I say that?
Well, yeah. And people get over me though also because I tend to do Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh yeah, I love his Chuck E. Cheese voice.
Yeah, it's amazing.
stay back from that for now.
Pretty good.
Yeah, but that's so basically I'm also in one of Sam's other games. He's remaking Mob Ship. Actually, I have another question for you regarding Bop. What was that licensing agreement? Because I've seen that the second generation Boppets, like from 2002, were marketed by Tiger Electronics.
Well, originally, it's more branding. Hasbro has acquired a bunch of companies. Originally, Tiger, which I invented a lot of games for, wasn't part of Hasbro. I think around 2000. In fact, Perplexus, originally I licensed to Tiger Electronics. And so Perplexus was also, that was right about when Hasbro bought Tiger. So once they bought Tiger, they bought them so they could have more of an electronic game presence. And then as they integrated that company into theirs, they thought that the brand name might mean something to people, which it really didn't, I think, maybe to some people. So they started to put Tiger as the brand on electronic games. And then after a while, I think they found that it didn't do any good, so they just removed the name.
Oh.
But that was more of a marketing thing.
Well, yeah, for now, I mean, they brought back the name because they started re-releasing the LCDs. I saw a few the other day.
Right. Yeah, the LCDs were more, which is how Boppet came to be, was when they were working on LCDs and they wanted Tiger. I think you guys know from the videos, that's what they had called me to say, do you have any new ideas for handheld LCD games? And if they had never called me, Boppet wouldn't have happened because I wouldn't have thought of it as a game. So a lot of serendipity. But those LCD games were very they're very nostalgic now.
For sure.
Actually, Mr. Klitsner, there's something that a lot of people want to know, though. I don't know if you're allowed to reveal it.
Okay.
People want to know who the voice is of Boppet Extreme 2.
I have been actually trying to find that out.
Oh, really?
So you don't even know who half the voices are?
No, because sometimes they were done by actors, that we would do the mock-up of what we wanted, and then I do know who to ask. I've actually put in some notes of people, because there are 3 different voices, I believe, that, and the very first voice of Boppet is also, we're not sure really who did it.
And I do know a few things about the original sound fonts, because I know that the scream was actually ripped from Metal Slug. I think. Because that's a stock sound effect. It's out on the internet now.
Yeah, there are a lot of funny things, because when you create something you don't know where it's going, people don't document as much.
No, that's true.
So, but yeah, there are some. I have a list of other things I'm trying to clarify, like that just for the history of stuff. But it is interesting, when you license an idea and it gets sold, often they don't want you to know. Like a company will keep you away from the information because they don't want you to be able to sort of have access to it. They like control. It's not that they don't want to; they just want to control the sources and the actors and the different things like that. And recently, of course, as that was long before social media, if you think about it, where you could find out anything you wanted anyway. So I think a lot of that information will start to come out.
Yeah, and if I remember also, Kane did this on his YouTube channel, which you guys had a flash game of Extreme 2.
A flash game?
Yeah, Kane, you know about that?
From Shockwave?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I found there's a thing called the Wayback Machine, which is like an internet archive, and I found a flash game of Bop It Extreme 2 that it doesn't work anymore, but it does. It just shows a spinning Bop It Extreme 2 for loading. That's all
I
it
think
shows.
I think that was done for promo. I don't think it was ever sold.
Okay.
I think it was a promotion on, like a lot of those little animations and things you'll see are for, they were for basically selling the product online, like as a demo. I continue to recall that's what that was built for. So you could try it like clicking with your cursor on the different things, and they would work.
Did Bop It Blast have one of those too? I think it did.
Yeah.
Maybe it did. Yeah. Again, that was not a great. In my mind, as I've said, that product is proof that you can break the Bop It spell. By being too tricky, too small, didn't have enough. Like it just. If Bop It had looked like that from the beginning, it never would have taken off. It was so. It was so un-Bop-ity,
Which one are you talking about?
Blast. The one here.
I was actually about to ask you the story about that one.
I can tell you that. Hold on.
He's gone.
No, this is I went to my because I should be having you pointed the other direction in all the Bop-Its, but this.
Oh
Blast.
yeah, the most breakable.
And it was supposed to be that you could. The concept was what do you do different with Bop It? They're trying Hasbro they want to refresh the ideas every year or every 2 years.
The to the download.
Yeah, and it was the idea that you could put. I have a bunch of things I was going to share, a bunch of CAD files of ideas that were how to transform Bop It from a regular Bop It to an extreme. Lots of those kind of ideas of how to make it more compact when you stored it.
Yeah.
So this was originally going to be that, and then the lights were added because of the idea of playing at night. Was there the idea that lights would add this effect, but it got way too tricky, and it's a lesson in, like you said, the simplicity usually wins, and all the lights that were in it, all the different gameplays, and including the idea that it was trying to, what I think is it broke the rule of why Bop It works is that the actions need to be the heroes, not the casing, And in this case, there was so much attention given to the actual structure of the case and less to these pieces, and the colors, everything made them not heroes like they were originally. And I believe that, just every little thing kind of matters, and the communication of the product. The Bop It button is kind of teeny. The logo is extremely undynamic. So the team at Hasbro that did this one, I think, was not as focused in terms of the final execution on the Bop It sort of DNA.
I actually want to ask you a question. What made the switch to the second generation logo? What clicked it?
I think that's just the graphics department at Hasbro, trying to update, refresh, make it feel like something new. Things get dated. What's so wonderful about the original Bop It is that it's so 90s. That's why it's, I think, part of pop culture for that is not only is it the game, it just had this really perfect, nostalgic kind of typography, everything about it. So. But as products get updated, like almost everything from, if you look at you look at products like bleach or whatever it is, everything looks, it has to reflect the era in which it was created, and then as it gets updated, they try to keep a little bit of what was there. What was surprising to me was that they kind of reinvented it at Hasbro without almost any reference to its previous form, which is unusual. They kind of jumped around a lot. So that's something that, I think people just experiment with it. There are some people have rules about it. Sometimes they'll just say, let's do something new and have a fresh, clean, new look. The thing that
Don't
I
say
think
that.
the question that the one thing that I think is interesting from you guys to see that you say you had the Bop It Shout was your first one, so you
Yeah,
always
that was
thought
the
of it.
first one I owned, but not the first one I played.
So do you, when you think of the brand as a white product with colorful graphics versus a teal and black, like there's such different color schemes.
Yeah, the 2016 one, I think.
Right, and then so that's what I pushed really hard for the 2016 to be more back to the black and teal and the grays because I felt
You guys had done something similar to that before, I think. It was the 2013 Shout that removed the Shout It in the micro.
yeah there's some color variations on it that were a little bit more off, but that idea of white came about because I don't know if you ever saw the all white. Okay, I'm going to get one more thing here.
The All White Extreme 2, I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an Australian exclusive.
It was Australia and the UK. This one was, I think, one of the most beautiful ones. It was white on white. It's so cool, because it's because it really highlights the textures. As I'm an industrial designer by training, and seeing all of the forms in white really lets you see it as a sculpture. And just, this everyone, we thought this is so cool. This preceded making then the Bop Its in white because everyone thought let's do it in white. The problem is, in my mind, is then once you add primary colors, it sort of makes it look more like a preschool toy, a little bit younger.
Yeah.
So the difference is white on white is like Apple Computer. white with
silver
primary colors is like preschool toys. So I believe I kind of always push for getting either go gray with color or get rid of the colors, but you sort of need the colors, so that's where 2016 came out of, was like, hey, can we move it back a little towards a little more specific.
like an old school style.
Yeah, but this thing is amazing. I only have 2 of these. They're really cool, the white ones.
Now,
And there's an all black. They don't make this is long gone. But the new product I'm working on, as I've described, the Boptopus is I want to do it in all white, but at least one version in all white.
Yeah.
Mr. Klitsner, there's actually you are right about kind of the color variations, but it didn't really work out. It didn't really work out perfectly. I lost my train of thought. You were right about how white kind of messes up with the primary colors. I do totally agree, because I do know that there's a shout out there that is. So Kane has the Japanese shout.
Oh yeah,
it comes in a different color.
Do you have that, Kane?
Yeah, Kane.
I'll go get it.
There are always, what happens is they always try to, or at least recently, there's been limited runs of the color variations. Now I don't have all of them. Sometimes I don't even know that they're doing them. They just decide, Hasbro decides we're going to do a transparent one, or we'll do this. So it's hard to get those. I haven't been very good. I'm sure.
There's one on Amazon.
Yeah, I really have a trouble buying my own product on Amazon.
No. Yeah, Kane, show the Japanese one. Okay.
So, Mr. Klitsner, I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
So, usually when I would go to Walmart, or when Toys R Us still existed, obviously, there were some versions of the Bop It that I would see that they're based on characters from movies like Star Wars and Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. Do the companies who made those movies like Marvel and Disney, do they come to you, or do you go to them to make a Bop It game out of those?
Well, it's a really interesting question. And so for years, I had ideas really from almost the beginning of how to make, Bop It into a character where you could, and in fact, here, maybe I'm just going to switch this over to this view because every time we talk, here. Second.
What is the giant one? What's the story with that?
That was from the first trade show. This big one was the first when Boppet was first introduced at Toy Fair in 1997, 96. This is like a big fiberglass one.
So it doesn't work.
No, never worked.
All right.
But the one I was just talking about was, where is that one? What we were just
Character.
The movie Boppet.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. So speaking of Tiger, this product I'll bet none of you have.
Who is that? Is that Stone Cold?
This was Goldberg, and this is I don't have the batteries in it. It's twist the head, pull the arm, and pop the chest. This was something that was kind of done as not really a bop, but it was sort of trying to say, what if we did this kind of idea with the character? And he's like, twist my head, twist my arm. It didn't make sense. Like, I was like, well, it was just a little like, could you wrestle with the character? But that eventually, and I could show you sketches of, where these guys came from. The twist the head, pull the legs. And that was just this idea that you could take, and what the original concept was not to do them looking exactly like the characters. They were supposed to be, at least we had pitched it as kind of using the design, almost like an industrial design essence of the character, and much more like those, like the Funko Pop characters, things that are a little more like that have their own proprietary Boppet mashup with the character, and they didn't want to do it, and it's tricky with licensors, like you said, they're very, for them to approve something if it is going to be a character is very hard. So it was actually, I think 10 years before this came out, had pitched it, because saying, look, you could expand Boppet into fun sounds and different things that were related to these movies, and that it is fun to kind of do it to a character. But again, the original vision was that each one would be different. Each one would have a different feature. Each one, if a character had an unusual type of thing, maybe we would, they wouldn't all just be Boppet just to pull it. But what happened was that, again, for money reasons, whatever, when, it cost so much for them, and to answer your direct question, it was actually first because Lucasfilm had just done a new deal, or Hasbro had done a deal with Lucasfilm. And when that happens, what they'll do is they'll say that there'll be a number of products in the line. They'll say to Hasbro, all right, if we give you the license, you need to do the action figures, you need to do role play, you're going to do helmets, and they go, oh, and what about that Boppet? So it was actually someone at Lucasfilm that was a Boppet fan that had said, have you thought about doing this? And then Hasbro called and said, hey, didn't you do an R2-D2 like 10 years ago? Oh. And so we actually then built a full working prototype that looked pretty much just like this.
Wow.
Did it, with the sounds, did the whole thing, and pitched, the idea of doing marble, of, all the minions, everything like that. It was like, hey, it's kind of just fun, but the only thing I hope maybe we can still do is if we do other characters, make them a little more unique from each other, because otherwise it's the same game with different sound effects.
Yeah. Now I have seen that you have tried some licensed stuff before, because I saw it was either on your Instagram or Twitter. You created a Black Eyed Peas Boppet Extreme.
Oh, that's the one right here. Yeah, that was because I actually met Will I Am. Where is that? Oh, it's hidden up here.
Oh, many Boppets.
Does it work?
It's just a Boppet Extreme with a paint job on it. It doesn't, it was just because I love Black Eyed Peas. I met him through a friend, Will I Am. He's a really interesting guy. He wanted to do some products, and so I mocked it up and showed it to him, and he wanted to do it. But again, with the label, and there's a lot of people that have to agree, and sometimes good ideas don't happen just because people can't agree on how to get the deal done. And for years, that's the whole thing. That's where New Jam sort of came out of saying me and Gary and Brian and my group, we love combining games with music, and it is a bit frustrating sometimes to try to have ideas and because Bopit's owned by Hasbro or it's licensed to them, we can't really do stuff I can't just do it. But you never know. A lot of the new technology is changing. That's why as Bluetooth chips become cheaper and there's an ability to download new music into things, I kind of see in the future the ability to do the next Bopit Extreme maybe will have the ability to put other music into it. But it's been a long time trying that.
I've actually seen...
or different voices. I know Kane I've communicated with about this too, is that the new product that I mentioned, one of the dreams of it is that it could be something where it could come with a companion app that anyone could create a Bopit Twisted Pullet voice or something, and you could download it into it, but doing it in an interesting way, maybe celebrities who played it did. Cool. Yeah. So but it needs a companion app to kind of.
It sounds a lot like Lego Super Mario.
Yeah.
Because that actually has a companion app you require to play the game.
Yeah.
Who would the stock voice be then, buddy?
Well, I think don't know. I think that to me the concept I had was that you would throw it out there on TikTok or Instagram or somewhere and have celebrities compete for who got to be the very first voice, like the default voice, and have them do it for a cause. The whole idea was if we had a companion app, my thought was that we would get have it go to some good causes for, like, I want to do children in the arts and things like that if you wanted to get certain other people's voices, that you would pay to download them to the app and it would be a donation, so that way you could get celebrities all competing sort of for a good cause, and for the bragging rights to say I was the most popular voice, so I got to be in there. You would, of course, if you could have unlimited voices by having a companion app, which we've never, then you could do all sorts of things. If you just wanted to do the default to Buddy Rubino, then you could do that. If you wanted to, on social media, if Jimmy Fallon was like, I want to be, he's a big Bopit fan, he says, I want my voice to be it, so maybe you get him to then reach out to his followers and say, I want you to download my voice. Like, I kind of think that's the fun of doing something like that, where Bopit is a really cool device that can take all sorts of audio. So that would be a really interesting way to blow that up. And so that's kind of my long term. As you said, how does it feel to have something? I just started it, and millions of people have played it and enjoyed it, and I'm still trying to figure out, what can I do to help make. I think you've seen I started this thing recently, Bopit for Good. How can I do something?
I noticed that pillow you had.
Yeah, the pillow. I've gotten. I just these are just things that you can do on easily do on a Shopify account, but the idea is to eventually try to do really cool stuff that is much more like what Think Geek used to do and things like that, if I can. But that everything sold there, the profits always go to to a cause. I'm not trying to make money on it. I'm trying to create products that Bopit fans would love. People have ideas, but things that aren't the primary toy originally, because I don't want to compete with what Hasbro's doing, and they'll allow me to do it as long as I think it's all for good cause, but also that geeky little products that you guys would want, and if they can be made easily enough. These are all made on demand, so I don't have to stock them. If someone orders one, it just gets made, so it's not
you would think that Hasbro would actually be prominent about these things.
They might be. I think it's like the R2D2. It might be that I have to prove it out until there's enough, and then maybe they'll help. They are, next year, is the official Hasbro release of the 25-year anniversary, and we do have a couple things, hopefully, that are coming out, and there will be some PR about it that I think will help feature some of the Bop It for Good stuff. So that'll be fun.
Mr. Klitzer, if you'll allow me to share my screen, I actually would like to show you some of the designs I've created for Bop It. I was going to send them to Spark, but I'll just show you them anyway.
Oh, you can, as long as this group. I mean, we want to make sure everyone's time is. We can do that another time as well if the group.
Yeah, I actually want to ask you. So there's some people from the electronic game community who want to do a Zoom with you another time. If that's okay with you, I think they'd appreciate that.
Yeah, we can set up other times. I really enjoy.
Yeah.
I know this is a lot kind of tell the stories. But what to give you some context, there's a lot of 25 years of stories, but also. Sure, I'd love to hear more about what people are planning, and my ultimate goal is if it can somehow tie into the Bop It for Good. That's really a priority for me right now, is how to create things that help people, and the fact that there's millions of Bop It fans, I just feel obligated at this point. It's like, well, that's what I'd like to try to focus my creativity on, if there's a way to help guide things that way. So anything that people are working on, that if that's can be tied into that, it's interesting to me.
Yeah, and there's an interesting thing about the electronic game community is that most of them are blind.
I know. I'm getting a lot of great emails from a lot of the people. I got one. Nathan, is it Nathan? Just sent me one. And it means a lot to me. It was the second year of Bop It. There was a big news story locally about a school for the blind that used it in their school. And what I loved about it is that they had me come to the interview, and they showed these two girls were playing Bop It. And one of them, let's see if I have here. One of them had it. This wasn't it. This was the new one. This was the the original Bop It.
2002.
She was sitting there playing it, and passed it to the friend, and the friend was playing it and passed it back, and then the interviewer asked the girl who was playing it, says, how is it for you playing this and being blind, not being able to see? And she goes, I'm not the one who's blind, she is. Like, it was this funny moment where they were playing so well together that you couldn't even tell who was the sighted person and who was the blind, because they could play so seamlessly together. And it really struck me as like, wow, that is so, never thought of it, that the textures and the feel of it all were so tactile that it could be visualized and played. But, and so it really stuck with me. And that's where, in a way, a lot of the things that, on the new product that I'm doing, I'm trying to make sure everything has a very tactile feel to it, so that you don't need to be able to see it to play it.
Yeah, that's, I think, one of the best things about these games. You don't need to see them.
It's a unique point of difference,
Yeah.
Kane, did you have something there, Kane, you were trying to show?
Oh yeah, he had his Japanese shout.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I don't have one of those.
Yep, these
Show on the other side.
That's pretty neat.
So the symbols have been changed, though. That one was distributed not by Hasbro, but by Bandai.
Bandai, yeah, they work with Hasbro sometimes to distribute.
And they actually switched around some things on that. Kane, explain the levels.
Okay, so in Bop It Shout, there's like the Novice Expert Master, where you have all the sequences of sounds and voice and Expert, and then added colors and Master. The colors are actually switched in the Expert level first, and then the sounds are in Master. And I actually have beaten this thing on Master before. It's stressful.
And have you learned Japanese?
Nope. The scores. I got a buddy who ends up translating the scores for me. Either that, or I just plug them into Google Translate, and it's like, what did I get? I got 99 once, and that was stressful.
That's funny. No, I would love to get some of those. I tried to track some down, but I haven't been very good about it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But, cool. Well,
Mr. Klitsner,
what I'd like to suggest too is, just for everyone's time, I'm happy to do this again if whoever wants to join and do something. I know Sam Locke, you know, we're really interested in a lot of other things as well. And I just like being connected to you guys and figuring, and like I said, if I can help in what you're doing, and if it somehow ties into, I'll be looking if there's a way to either help or tie it into Buffett for good, or just to kind of, stay inspired. It's really cool. So I really appreciate you guys being interested.
Yeah, if we're going to end here, I do have one more question for you.
Sure.
What are we allowed to do to push it further that won't get us in trouble with Hasbro?
Well, let me think about that. I've been trying to think what is it that you can do. One, if you're not selling it for money.
No, we're not. We don't plan to do that at all.
Well, but I'm trying to think for everyone's time if there's a way, or even if there's a way to raise money with it or something. It's probable. I mean, part of it is when you sell things with a trademark. There's certain things that they might get upset about, but I don't know. Let me think about it and get back to you to see what I would advise.
That's good.
I don't think you're. I think because it's a game. It's not a product. Because it's a game.
It's
not
a game.
Product. Yeah, it's an electronic game, and something that's really for fans, and it's really going to be okay as long as and. But if there's some other way, there's been a lot of cases of sometimes people will build something like that, and then if it's popular and takes off, it's only an issue if it starts getting super popular, and then sometimes a company will sort of figure out a way to do a deal with someone like that. It shouldn't be the goal.
Oh, yeah, I got that. It's kind of like Sonic Mania.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
There's things where fans might do something. And I think it's like as long as it's done with respect and everything, it helps promote a product or promote the idea. It creates community. So, but I'm not the one, who can say do it or don't. That's all. I'm just saying I'm giving you my opinion from having worked in this a long time. But I think it's really cool. I'd love to encourage you to do it and help. If there is an issue, I can try to help.
Yeah, we can keep you up to date on this project if you like. We have a Discord server. We can reach out to the entire crew as well as some other electronic game members.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sam Locke, you had suggested that just to join the Discord server.
Yeah, the Discord server is called Bop It Rift. It was originally his server, but because more people showed sign in the designs I do, and that's me and Sam have started working together a lot. It's kind of moved over to my server, Bop It Rift, which is where I post all of my main designs.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to stay in touch with that, and tell me how to be connected.
We'd be honored to invite you.
Just real quick before we end it, I'd like to ask just one more personal question, and then a question that someone from the cast of a show that I'm a part of wanted to ask you. So I'll start with her. She just wanted to know what your inspiration was behind making Bop It. That was the one question she had.
I've talked so much about it, you probably could answer that, but it's that, like I said, I do believe the one thing, and I know Chris, you probably saw that in the interview I mentioned a lot of times, is the idea of animating people, like a game that made people move, versus it was supposed to be the opposite of a game that you do this with your thumbs.
Like a Game Boy?
Yeah, that was the one very intentional part, whether originally it was a remote control for a TV, all those kind of things I've talked about. The one common element was how to do bigger physical motions with a game, way before the Wii, way before if you think about when Bop It happened, it was sort of pushing this idea of even Simon, all the electronic games that had been, they were all about very simple,
just pushing buttons,
two-dimensional action. And so I believe Bop It, and there's another thing that if I don't know if any of you had it, but there's this thing I also invented called Key Top Toys at the time. The same year Boppet came out, they were these.
Never heard of it.
You put them on a keyboard. You were way too young. Put them on a keyboard, and they made you have a three-dimensional experience. Like one was a workshop where you could hammer and screw, and it actually let you engage with a digital experience, like with three-dimensional objects. And so that was just in my mind, long answer to say it was all about how do you take digital and make it more physical.
Yeah,
That's interesting, actually. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Now,
All right.
As Guitar Hero and the Wii and all these things came out years later, it was sort of like, well, yeah, it felt ahead of its time.
I think what you said was you animated. You loved that you animated the person instead of the product. So, like you said, Barbies was your example, and I got 2 daughters, and they play with Barbies all the time. And of course, they're like, "Hey, Chelsea, let's go over here." And it animates the person, not them animating.
Right. It is, as I said, Boppet is actually a remote control that controls it. Because it makes the kids do something. So anyway, long answer, but Bronson, you had another question as well.
Yes, I did. This is just knowing that Boppet is just a huge game. Just one small idea made it just a gigantic product, and I tip my hat for you for that. And have you ever, of course, have you known about the parodies that people have done, such as Robot Chicken or Studio C? Have you ever seen those?
Yeah, no, I've reposted them all.
oh yeah, where the Boppet calls explicit commands.
Yeah, I mean,
and everything.
the one I'm most proud of. I mean, I try to collect all the parodies. It's to me, that's like the first time I saw one. I was like, what? That is so cool. You really feel like you've made it into pop culture. But I think I've told this story.
Okay then, where am I? Yeah, here they are.
The one that people usually refer to is the original one.
Well, yeah, but the Robot Chicken one is so cool because it's such a great animation. But this was a story I've also told. This is Matt Groening's signature from Simpsons. And have you ever seen the Simpsons spoof of it called Bonk It?
Yeah, Bonk It.
Yeah.
I don't watch those.
Yeah, I've seen
I'm
that
sorry.
as well.
Actually,
I've
Mr.
never
Klitsner, I don't know if you're aware
that
though.
in one of his videos.
Are you aware of the MGA Super Click It?
Oh yeah, there's a whole story
Yes.
behind
Yeah,
that.
there's a second version out there. It's green and it says Bonk It on it.
Yeah, it's there's a really interesting story about that as a knockoff, and it was shut down. But MGA, so the full circle is that the remote controls that you heard about in that talk. The company that did those was MGA. So the pizza remote, all those things were actually.
So they were kind of taking back an idea of yours.
It wasn't, they had no idea that the hammer. All they did, I didn't pitch them the idea of Boppet. All they did was they turned down the remote hammer idea, the remote control hammer. So 3-4 years later, when Boppet came out, they were a company. To be honest, MGA was a company that knocked off everyone. They would just see whatever was popular.
They're the Video Brinquedo of 2000.
Yeah, they just people didn't like them in the industry. I'll say it out loud. They eventually did their own products, like they're doing LOL Surprise and all these things. They've done very well, but they were very notorious for just taking something popular and ripping it off. So they went and did the Click It was just a knockoff. I don't know if Hasbro eventually shut them down or whatever, but it was definitely against the Boppet patent. And so that was how Click It is a stain on the or a compliment. Flattery, right?
They made it. I think the same company sold another one called Meltdown.
Yeah, they just So I didn't appreciate that, but I do it's a compliment, flattery, whatever. But the this one, the Simpsons one is so funny, and it was so cool to see that. He didn't tell. Yeah, he just sort of gave me the story. Says, "Wow, I really hate Boppet," and kind of jokingly, and then the next season that after meeting him, and I signed a bop it for him, and he signed this for me, and then that scene came out. But the the spoofs are amazing, and I see them really every couple of months. It was just on Seth Meyers. He did something last month. It's been on, Saturday Night Live just did another thing called Boop It a few months ago.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
With the hungover dad.
No, I was actually one
Yeah,
of the first people
and
to
it's
see
not.
it.
Those aren't ever paid. There's nothing. No, those are just people pick it up and they spoof it, which is amazing that you get that publicity.
Why did it have the
So
Hasbro
they-
logo on it then?
So they didn't have to get any licenses from Hasbro or anything.
I don't know. That's
Yeah,
it's,
I think
it's
that
a
they
funny
had
question.
something to do with it.
I've talked to everyone there. They said absolutely not. It's kind of like when people assume you can just say like that's part of the spoof, that they're kind
That's
of
a bop. Then that's basically bop it YouTube poop.
yeah. They're saying like it's kind of like saying Kleenex. It's a brand name that people don't think of as a brand. It's the product. I think they just use Hasbro as if it's like because everyone knows the name. So I know that was absolutely, and we all thought that too. I called them up and said, "Did someone pay for this? Where does?" And they said, "Nope. They just total spoof." So
Well,
We've seen the parody that there's this show in my home state right now. It's called Studio C. Have you seen Nara's parody of that? Of the guy
where
you
they
want him to lick it.
They lick it. It's
Lick it.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about, they did that about a few years ago, and clearly it's relevant now. So if anyone needs to go, I won't be offended.
Mr. Klitsner, I have two more questions for you before we leave.
Sorry, I just gotta run. I'm on kid duty shortly. So Dan, I want to appreciate you having this conversation with you. It's great, man. Like I said, I went down a Google wormhole and what a career. So it's cool to hear from you today, guys. Thanks for inviting me on. Nice to see all of you. And if you need any help with the voice for Smash It, obviously let me know. And Dan, if you
Your voice in both games, you're gonna be making a lot of money.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Well, thank you, Chris, for coming on. As I said, this is good exploratory. Get to meet everyone. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and it's on for Bobtopus. If Buddy's not around, you let me know, okay?
Well, that's very possible. I can say that there's a lot of thoughts on that. So thank you.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. And guys, nice to meet all of you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you too, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
All right, see you guys.
Mr. Klitsner, I have like 2 or 3 more questions for you.
All right.
Oh yeah. Can I ask what was the deal with the Bratz Bop It? That's a really interesting one.
It was because Bratz was popular. Again, do you know who owned Bratz?
Hasbro.
MGA?
No, MGA.
Tiger?
MGA.
MGA.
So another weird irony is that Hasbro actually then paid MGA to use the brand Bratz on a Bop It.
Wow. I've actually seen the commercial. But it's really weird.
It is. It just. I'm an industrial designer. I took pride in like things like Perplexus. Things like this that are very design oriented is sort of my goal. And Bop It, even though I didn't do final design, I've always proposed it being sculptural and everything. And there's sort of an elegance to it. And I don't know why Bratz just really, I really cringe on the idea that voice.
I'm with you all the way.
Yeah. So the deal is, I could have,
Declined it?
that don't do it. Like it really just means not really. I mean, there's a point at which you just say, well, you don't really know. I mean, I would have maybe done it differently. Like maybe it shouldn't have looked just like this one. It should have looked like something else, or whatever. I have it here.
Yeah.
Here it is. It's this one.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's a second part to that question. The Pink Extreme 2.
The Pink Extreme 2, this one?
Yeah. What's the deal
was-
with that?
It was the same, I think, because, when they did research on Bop It as a brand, what's been really amazing about it is it's almost 50-50 male-female.
Well,
It isn't.
They're trying to make it more female.
They just thought, well, I liked that this was sort of, because the white one was sort of popular in the UK and Australia. I think they were just trying to offer it in different colors.
I actually made a blue one. If you ever want to see it and want to join our Discord, I'd be happy to show it to you.
Sure, I'm sure. I mean, I think all colors, what's cool about, that's part of the Boptopus thing, is it's more of a thing that sits on the table and should just, if I had my dream come true, it would be that do them in different colors so that people can get the right one for their environment, for their decor. Because and that's what I really learned with Perplexus, is the idea of Perplexus was it was a thing that could be left out. If you design a game, think about it. What's cool about products rather than video games is that they are an object, and you shouldn't think of them, in my mind, as a thing that gets put away. If you design a great product, it's one that's cool enough that people want to leave it out. And to do that, you need a stand for, a lot of the things. I've always said, why doesn't Bop It have a little stand that comes with it? Because then you'd set it out and leave it out. And then, as a guitar player, I found that if I don't leave my guitar on a stand, I don't really play it. It's sort of, when things are left out, you play them more. So that's my goal with the Boptopus, is to create something that is designed to just look really good on a table and sit there. So you'll walk by, maybe make some sounds, and you'll want to play it. I think that's kind of a powerful marketing thing.
I have two more questions for you. One is, this is for me and Bronson, because people who are going to be watching this interview come from the fandom that he comes from. Are you aware of a band called the Rockfire Explosion?
No.
It's fine if not. All right, that's fine. Also, I want to ask you for your permission on something. In 2021, I have a plan to work together with Bronson, who, by the way, is a character designer and animator. I plan to work on a 25th anniversary poster that comes in 3 sizes. Would that be allowed, or would Hasbro shut me down?
It depends for what purpose. I think it'd be cool
It's for fans and people who generally enjoy Bop It.
I think it sounds amazing. I'd be happy to help them make sure they see it. And if you design something, why wouldn't they want things that fans create? I think that's pretty cool.
That's what Sega's like. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think I would hope there's absolutely no reason to do that unless, to shut it down. I think you should just design something and either you send it, or if there's some way I can help. If you want to just do it for fans and not.
Kane said he wants to put it on his wall.
Yeah, well, I'd love to see it. I think those are the kind of things that are cool. And maybe, here's a thought: is if they were something that were printed and there was a way I could get them into the Bop It for Good shop, maybe
maybe if that's allowed, I'd be happy to make it for you.
I think I could probably do that and then have people buy it, and I would still want the proceeds or the profits to go to, whatever cause we're supporting that month. So I think, personally, that's a great idea. And what I can't speak for Hasbro, but what I could say is if you made a cool poster, I would try to put it in there and figure out a way to raise.
Oh yeah, I'd definitely send it to you.
Yeah. But that might be a place where people can then find it, But I don't know the logistics. Part of it is the whole thing about, as sending people things. It's the reason I set up the Shopify store. You got to be careful that you're not the warehouse. I'm trying to set it up so that when someone orders something, it goes from where it's created to them. That you're not stuck being being the warehouse. So that's all. If you made something, I'd have to figure out if there was a good way to get it facilitated straight to someone who orders it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. That's all the questions I have for you today. My phone's about to die, so I'm gonna go. I will ask Sam to send you an invite to the Discord server, and feel welcome. And you feel welcome there.
Yeah.
You can see what we do. You can see the development on Bob and New Jams. It'll be the whole shebang.
Well, I really
And some of
appreciate
the
it.
people you did not get to meet here.
I'm sure I'm happy to do it again. I really, really appreciate it. As I said, connecting.
We'll send you an invite.
Yeah.
Connecting to everyone is really cool, and you know, I like brainstorming and thinking of things that are cool, and just hearing what you guys are doing. So, and I know Sam Locke. I see. What is that picture you have there?
Oh, that's a picture of Abe.
That's it.
Oh, you muted TGR.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's from Oddworld.
Yeah.
Like it's small on my
It's
screen.
from a gaming expo in England.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mr. Klitsner, I'm going to get going, though. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I'd be happy to see you soon in the server.
Sounds good. And
All right. I'll have Sam send you an invite as soon as I can.
Stay in touch. I'm sorry, you know, if I'm slow to respond on things, I'm just not very organized and busy on stuff. But I
Yeah. That's okay.
Also, I finally got my mic working, so
Alright.
Finally got it near the end, man.
yeah. Well, at least you got to see the model. This is the main part.
Yeah. I mean, better
Very
now than never.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Klitsner, I've got one last question for you. I know we're really tight on time here, but it's really brief, if you don't mind.
Yeah. No,
Me, Shaw, and CEC Blender, we're 3D, we're 3D modelers and animators. We're real curious. Well, I've been curious. I think you mentioned CAD and how you. Is there any modeling involved with how you design the boppets or any of the other?
Well, it depends who does it. You know, in the prototyping and animations, we throughout the years, as I used to do it personally, and was one of the first people to do way back. Macromedia had this thing called Swivel 3D. I'm actually on the ad for this Swivel 3D thing from when I was designing all the stuff for Discovery Toys years ago. But then since then, it's been different people. We use Onshape in our office. Do you know Onshape?
I have heard of it, yeah.
It's very iPad friendly, as well as it's pretty cool browser based CAD. And for Perplexus, we've used it for a lot of that, as well as I use different things into. What do you use mostly?
We all use Blender.
Yeah,
Blender. My name's CC Blender for a reason.
Why do you use Blender?
It's free.
Free.
It's free. That's one of the reasons why.
That's the easiest question. It's free.
Yeah, we're all broke college kids here.
I mean, I'm not in college yet.
But it's cool. I think that that's good. Free is good. I think that. Does it go to 3D printing from Blender, or is it just more animation?
It's more animation.
Animation, but it does have third-party support for that. Support the files.
Well, if you're doing that kind of thing, I know if you're looking for how can you make, if you want to do that as a career, eventually, it seems like. That's the question. Is it more? It's more for animation, not for product design, right? That's what you're.
Yeah.
It's more for visualization instead of blueprints or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's more for game design.
Yeah. So, that's interesting because my world is not at all in that. We're product design. So it's all CAD, AutoCAD, that kind of thing, and so the only thing with the programs we use is often. Like we used to use Cinema 4D for trying to make animations of things, but the problem was we could never 3D print them.
That was the issue.
So that's why we've switched over to things that we can actually use for a 3D printed model, because that's so great that we can just get it printed. But in terms of those programs, as you get good at them, if you're looking for ways to use your skills for money in the future. I don't know if I'm not in that world really, but there might be people that if you have portfolios of stuff and you start working on things, I'd be happy to help push them if I know of people that need those skills,
That would be awesome.
Yeah. but I just say that's kind of, it seems like it's, the demand has never been higher, you know, it just feels like there's just a lot of, right, media being created that way. So happy to help if there's a reference or someone I can, you know, point you toward, but I don't know, like I said, personally, we don't, you know, we're a very small office, you know, we're 5 people, of which we're usually working on prototypes, 3 actual product, 3-dimensional stuff. And often we're not even doing the CAD, we're just hacking something out of foam core and skipping that whole part. So we don't use a lot of animation like that, but once in a while, you know, it's pretty cool.
Well, thank you very much. I also wanted to extend the invitation to Sonic Crow, King, Bronson, Sam. If any of you guys had any questions, I know it's kind of been a little hectic here. But,
yeah, I almost missed the call because I was still asleep.
Fine.
Yeah, good.
After Mr. Klitsner, if it's all right with you, could I get a picture of the screen?
A picture of the screen?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. No, I thought weren't you recording this?
I don't know if Sam did.
I was, yeah.
Yeah, we can't hear him in the.
That he was he was going to, which was fine with me.
Yeah.
But if it's not, I guess since I started the Zoom, I could have hit record. I didn't because I thought you were recording it.
I thought about it.
Yeah, but you're sure you want to get a screenshot or whatever. I'd like.
We can do that.
Yeah, make sure to show your good side.
Yeah.
First name something once.
Where's?
Let's get a better version of it.
Trying to find a screenshot thing.
Screenshot, that'll work. That'll work. Yeah, I could just do we could just do screenshot.
Yeah, I think you can easily do screenshots better.
All right, Command Shift.
How's that?
Perfect.
Got it.
Thank you
so much.
All right, guys. Well, we can do this again as you guys work on a project. I think it's amazing that you're doing something and want to keep, I know that it's hard as other things, you get busy on other stuff, but if this happens and there's anything I can do to help, in the future, or help if it becomes a real product and there's some way to get it out there, just let me know.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. That was great.
Yeah, it's nice.
God, thank you. You have amazing questions, and I really appreciate the time, and we'll do it again.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
You have a good one.
You too.
All right, catch you guys around.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.